Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Next Saviors Essential Question Series for NEET PG to 2025, where we shall be discussing the most likely questions to be kept in 2025 NEET PG examinations. Now, today we will be talking about a very long question where the options like cardiac tamponade, constructive pericarditis, pulmonary embolism, and acute myocardial infarctions are kept because all these conditions are presenting with the similar clinical features of hypertension, tachycardia, or elevated JVP. But there is a thin line of difference that you need to identify in order to mark the correct answer. So let's give a sample question first. Like a 55-year-old male with a history of lung cancer presenting to the emergency with a progressive shortness of breath and chest discomfort for the last 3 days. He also reports dizziness and two episodes of near syncope. His symptoms have worsened, especially while lying flat, and there is no history of fever, palpitations, or recent infections. Right? On examination, the blood pressure is found to be low, the heart rate is found to be higher, respiratory rate slightly elevated with a near normal oxygen saturation. So by this time, you might have assessed, you are not able to conclude that what is the answer for this particular question. Okay. Coming on to the general examination, the patient is pale, diaphoretic, and mildly confused because of the hypotension. There are distended neck veins, that is JVP is found to be elevated, which is a case with all of these four options. Weak 3D pulse, but from here there is a conclusion like pulsus paradoxus is present. That means more than 10 millimeters of Hg drop in the blood pressure on inspiration. This is pulsus paradoxus, which is a feature of cardiac tamponade because it is a component of the Beck's trial. Now, as far as cardiac examination is concerned, there are muffled heart sounds. Respiratory examination shows the clear lung field bilaterally, and ECG findings shows low voltage QRS complexes because of the decreased cardiac output. And there is a presence of electrical alternance. Another finding for the ECG is electrical alternance, and this is attributed to the alternating QRS amplitude in successive beats. All right. Coming on to the chest X-ray finding, as you know, water bottle appearance is a feature of the cardiac tamponade, and echocardiography are confirmatory where there is a large pericardial effusion seen. Right ventricular diastolic collapse is a specific finding for this, and inferior vena cava dilatation with no inspiratory collapse. So, you might say that we have already confirmed the diagnosis of cardiac tamponade, but the reason why this question was framed is not for you to mark the answer of cardiac tamponade, but to rule out the other options, that what are the findings which might lead to another options related to this particular question. All the findings which could be kept in the examination related to the topic of cardiac tamponade are kept in this question. All right. So answer is obvious, that is cardiac tamponade for this particular one. As you know that what was provided to you in the question was that a Beck triad features were given, pulsus paradoxus was given, ECG finding of electrical alternance were given, and echocardiographic confirmatory findings were provided to you. You already are very much aware of the pathophysiologic mechanism. Like what happens is that in case of a heart, there will be accumulation of the pericardial fluid, and because of this accumulation of this pericardial fluid, there will be a diastolic filling of the right atrium and the right ventricle is impaired. There will be decreased diastolic filling, as a result of which the cardiac output is reduced. So inferior vena cava becomes distended, and the characteristic water bottle heart on the X-ray suggests the large pericardial effusion. So you already are aware of this pathophysiological mechanism, and the management is simple. That is, emergency pericardiocentesis has to be performed. You see, constrictive pericarditis, although it can present with elevated JVP, it can present with pericardial disease, and both have diastolic dysfunction because of external compression to the heart. But the basic differences over here is that the constrictive pericarditis has Kussmaul sign, that is JVP, which rises on inspiration. As far as cardiac tamponade is concerned, we observe pulsus paradoxus. That is point number one. Point number two is echocardiography in constrictive pericarditis. It shows a thickened pericardium and not the right ventricular collapse, which is a feature of cardiac tamponade. And CT or MRI findings were not provided to you in the question, but for a question related to constrictive pericarditis, the CT or MRI would show pericardial calcification. Had there been a question on constrictive pericarditis, then these are the findings which would be provided to you in the question. And moreover, you see, the clinical presentation, like in case of cardiac tamponade, it had acute onset of symptoms, whereas in case of constrictive pericarditis, it is usually chronic. It is usually progressive. So these are the differences which are there in between the two. Now, again, another very important differential diagnosis is a pulmonary embolism. Pulmonary embolism also presents with hypotension, it presents with tachycardia, it presents with dyspnea, which can be present in tamponade also, elevated JVP, which is also a feature of tamponade. But what are the differences on the basis of which the answer would have been a pulmonary embolism? It is a presence of sudden pleuritic chest pain and hemoptysis, obviously. Then ECG, as you know, S1Q3T3 pattern, sinus tachycardia, or the right hand strain, and not specifically the electrical alternance which is seen in case of cardiac tamponade. Now, chest X-ray, the Hampton's hum or Westermarck sign, which you already are aware of how they appear, and not the typical water bottle appearance, which is seen in case of cardiac tamponade. And echocardiography, which is again shows right ventricular dilatation and McConnell sign. That means right ventricular dysfunction, which is sparing the apex, but there is no pericardial effusion, because pericardial effusion, if it is seen on echocardiography, it is confirmatory for cardiac tamponade. So had there been a question asked on pulmonary embolism, then the question would have been loaded with this information. And finally, why is it not acute myocardial infarction despite the fact that both presents with hypotension, tachycardia, and the signs of the cardiogenic shock? The myocardial infarction clinical presentation is a very peculiar one, where there will be a chest pain lasting for more than 30 minutes, not relieved by rest. ECG, or all you know that it is confirmed on ECG with the ST segment changes or the changes in the Q waves. And finally, the echocardiography in the MI shows regional wall motion abnormalities and not the right ventricular diastolic collapse. So these are the findings which would have been provided to you had the examiner is asking the question related to the acute myocardial infarction. So hopefully you would be able to solve any question, a long clinical question related, where these four options are provided with their specific findings. Thank you so very much. And in order to stay updated, please join our Telegram group.